personal development. You know, I've been in the personal development space now full time for 23 years as an author, speaker, consultant. And the thing that really bugs me about the industry is the clear overreach of some of its purveyors. Telling people they can get rich quick, for example, telling people things are going to happen overnight. They're going to have easy weight loss, or they're going to have easy success, or easy relationship building with their spouse, or with their kids, or with their family. There's been so much of an overreach in this industry, and there continues to be. The latest one the last few years is 10x your business. In other words, increase your revenue in your business by 10 times in a short period of time. That's just ridiculous. Anyone that knows anything about business knows that one of the most dangerous things you can do is explode a business overnight, because you have a tiger by the tail. I've had it happen to me a couple times. It sounds like a great thing, but anyone with experience knows it's not. If you grow too fast, you can lose a business by growing too fast. And that's obviously well known, but not to naive people that have never grown a business before, or just inexperienced people who haven't grown a business before. They buy into it. Now, why do these purveyors sell this nonsense? Because it's very profitable, to the tune of $14 billion per year. A few years ago, if you remember, we had an incident out in Arizona where a purveyor of this nature convinced people to go into a sweat lodge so they would have some kind of epiphany in their life, and 3 people died. They died in a personal development so-called seminar. Some of these things are dangerous. Here's my problem with it. Most of these things in personal development, these concepts, these ideas, these platitudes, right? These concepts of getting better in your life, most of them are fantastic. The problem is there are people out there who are trying to sell things to naive people, and they're buying them. And of course, they don't succeed. They're frustrated. They're unhappy with it. It gives the industry a bad name. And meanwhile, you have people out there trying to really help people get better in an incremental fashion, a healthy fashion, a way that they actually have a chance, a legitimate chance of making it. So, like, for example, one of the things you never hear in personal development, interestingly enough, is how to write a business plan. Do they ever talk about that in personal development? No, just go out there and start a business and just go at it and think big and you'll be big, and be disciplined and go out there and have a big vision and just start a business and you'll be successful. Well, most people fail in business. We know the numbers. It's overwhelming. And now you're talking to people, a lot of people that have never even had a business. They've never run a business before. They've had jobs their whole lives, or they're very young, and they have no idea. You hardly ever talk about, you never hear about people hardly at all talking about writing a business plan. You hear some, but it's very few. Full-time in this business for 23 years at the 7-figure level, and I've worked with almost everyone at the top level in this business, at least in the US, and most in Australia and the UK and Canada and Germany, and it's not that big of an industry at the 7-figure non-celebrity level. You don't hear much about business plans, right? Actually laying out what you plan to do as a business as though you're going to a bank to obtain funding. You don't hear much about that. Why? Because it's not sexy. It doesn't sell because it's not sexy. Writing a business plan is actually a very tedious thing. It's not, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say it's tedious. It's boring. It's frustrating. It takes a lot of time and effort and some study and research. But it's one of the most important things you can do. And I think that's kind of why I don't want to make this so much of a rant as I do something that we're doing in our Mental Toughness University program for entrepreneurs and success coaches right now. I'm having the group I'm coaching go through and write a business plan. Most of them have never done it. Most people have never done it, right? And that's fine. You can learn how to do it. It's something anyone can learn how to do. But instead of having all these wild fantasies and saying, I'm going to make $1 million overnight, I'm going to 10x my business, I'm going to do all these amazing, wonderful things, even though I've never made more than $50,000 in a year and I have absolutely no experience, no way to do it, no background to do this, no product or service that's really going to make that happen. I'm going to do this somehow in this wild fantasy. It gives personal development a bad name Because a lot of times what people do is they associate personal development with this type of overreach, and they say, well, you guys are all just talking about nonsense. Well, I'll tell you something. After 23 years, at least my opinion, personal development is not nonsense. I wouldn't be doing this for a living if it were. These are powerful ideas. Oh, they're simple. No question about that. It's not rocket science. But the concepts in personal development are powerful, and they do change people's lives over time, not overnight. And sometimes people do grow businesses and by 10 times over a period of years, usually 10, 20, or 30 years or more, not overnight. They really are good concepts. You really can benefit from personal development. It is a phenomenal industry. Unfortunately, it's just abused because it's so profitable. $14 billion a year profitable. So sex sells, and sexy ideas and concepts sell, like becoming a millionaire overnight type of thing. I mean, if you really want to dig in, I would recommend a couple of things. You really want to get the most out of personal development. Study people that give you the concepts, obviously the positive thinking concepts and the thought, concepts. Mental toughness is one of them, obviously, and there's lots of others. But dig in with the people that are more realistic. In other words, one of the things, again, I'm doing with our Mental Toughness University program, coaching program, is getting people to write a business plan. I recommend that. If you've never done it, get a book on writing business plans and write your business plan and take it to someone who knows something about business and say, what I want to do with my business, is this realistic? And you might be very shocked to find out that it's not, or maybe it is. Usually in the beginning, it's not. But at least you'll know what's reality. You won't be living in a fantasy. Here's a newspaper everyone should be reading that's based mostly in reality. It's called the Wall Street Journal. It's the business Bible. And if you're not reading this paper, you're not a serious business person, in my opinion. It's the only physical newspaper I read. Because it's all based in business, and I don't agree with everything in it, but it is I think it's fairly unbiased in terms of business, and unbiased as a media source can be. And if you want to read good books, in other words, if you want to determine how you're going to grow a business, like 10x a business, one of the things you want to do is understand how you're going to compensate your employees in this business. You want to read a good book on compensation that's reality based? The Harvard Business Review on compensation. I helped companies, Fortune 500 companies, structure compensation plans for sales teams for many years. This book is one of the Bibles of that process, and it's a difficult process, but this doesn't deal in fantasy. It deals in reality. You want to know something about marketing? Forget all these internet marketing flashy people you see on YouTube and the internet. Most of them are full of crap. Read a book like this of Philip Kotler from Booth in Booth Business in the University of Chicago. This is a serious marketing book. This guy actually knows what he's talking about. This is, again, doesn't deal in fantasy, right? I mean, I got all these kinds of books. You want to learn about investing? Jim Rogers is a phenomenal guy. I've interviewed a couple of different times. He's a billionaire investor, goes on and on. He gives you the long and the short of being a personal investor. I've got thousands of books. Ray Dalio is probably the biggest hedge fund manager on Wall Street. This guy deals in objective reality. He really knows what he's talking about. I believe he's a business genius, in my opinion, but he gives it to you straight without all the fluff. That's what you're looking for. Use personal development. I mean, it's just one of the greatest things ever, but make sure that you're grounded in reality, because if you're not, you're going to be very frustrated and you're going to wonder why it's not working for you. This stuff really does work, but you got to blend it with people and coaches and purveyors that are really dealing in the real world, not the fantasy world of let me sell you something because it sounds sexy and you don't know any better, and that type of thing. That's what you want to avoid. So sorry for the long post here. I hope this helps, and go out and make it happen. I'll see you next time.